with that, we are back live and ready for the continuation of day 3 of the SLE. Once again, I have with me my wonderful co-host Brady. Brady, what do we have ahead of our schedule today? I don't believe that Brady is currently receiving my audio signal, but now he will. Hi, Brady. I briefly introduced everything that's going on. What do we have ahead of us today?
Hey guys, geez, throw me straight into it there. My goodness, let's get it.
I apologize for
Um,
that.
so yeah, unknown enemy versus Team Insomnia, right? If I'm not mistaken.
That is indeed what's going to be happening right now. I think the draft is almost ready already. Just give us a brief introduction.
Well, we've seen both of these teams play already, so we do have a bit of an idea of what's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I don't think yet either team is yet to win a game. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I think this could be the start of a recovery run for either team here today. I think this game is going to be close, and I think if perhaps the captain of Team Insomnia can do what he did last time on the Corgi. I know he had a very good game. Perhaps he can lead his team by example and perhaps grab him the win. But that being said, Unknown Enemy has been, I think, a little bit unfortunate so far this tournament, and I think they're a very competitive team, and I think they definitely have what it takes, and either team does to win this game today.
Well, we will have to wait and see. You mentioned Wengu's performance in the last couple of games already. Kind of a standout player for me personally on Unknown Enemy, but I know that their coach Shocking Twist is actually also a big part of why this team keeps on coming together and keeps looking really good on the Rift. On the other hand, we have TI, who I have to say both of these teams feel in a little bit of an unfortunate situation. Obviously already being knocked down to Division 2, but still actually coming out with some pretty good games and having some interesting picks, some interesting strategies, and most importantly, pretty good play overall. So I'm looking forward to see what these two teams can do here in the first game of, or in the last game of their group, and what they can then do in Division 2. I think both of them go into Division 1 looking extremely strong and competitive to compete for that title in Division 2.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And that being said, what do you think of this draft so far? The Morgana Nocturne bans and then the Fiora Ash bans in return from TI.
Well, the Morgana has risen to an extreme priority so far, and Unknown Enemy had to face the Sanix Nocturne, I believe, and that did not go very well for them. I think, was it Unknown Enemy that had to face that?
Yeah, I'm not mistaken, and I think the Nocturne really stuck. So yeah, they're not a fan of it here this game either.
Well, on the other hand, TI had to face Wolven King's Nocturne, and that didn't go very well either. So Frey in that game, though, standing out as also a bit of a standout. So we're going to be having a very interesting battle in the mid lane. And with the first pick, Diana, we're already seeing some jungle priority exerted here from the side of Webby.
True. I mean, again, he definitely has been seen playing the Diana in his solo queue games. I don't think he's pulled it out just yet, but I think this can lead into some big wombo comps.
Ooh, and here's the denial pick of the Aphelios. Rickard so far playing 2 games of the Aphelios, and looking pretty good on it, even in his losses. So now the side of TI will take that away from Unknown Enemy. That is very interesting to me, and an adaptation that that makes me think that these people are also watching each other's games.
I mean, TI clearly done their homework, and it'll be interesting to see what UE choose to take it in. Oh, it's the Kai'Sa.
Kai'Sa responds into Aphelios. Alright. Well, a matchup that we have seen a little bit of already in the tournament. And Rickard not waiting very long to pick his AD carry here. That is followed by the Galio. We've not seen Galio support yet, but we have already seen a couple of games of Galio mid lane. Do you expect that to still go into the mid?
I mean, I like it in the mid, but I am more of a fan of the Galio support. I think especially paired with a Kai'Sa, you can get really aggressive with the Galio support. But as you said before, it has been seen in the mid lane, and I think
First Tahm Kench of the tournament here. Now, we don't know to which position that will go either yet, obviously having the possibility of going either to top or support, most likely. And Tahm Kench is a pretty strong pick in solo queue in that top lane position. Do you consider that likely here, or do you like the pairing of the Tahm Kench Aphelios?
I mean, they've decided to unbench the Kench. I think it's definitely much better in the top lane now. I don't see it being used too much as a support anymore. But yeah, I definitely expect to see a top lane from Team Insomnia here today. And I don't really know what you pick into it because it is an extremely powerful blind pick, I feel like.
Maybe something with Shield Shred, potentially like the Kled, or something that could just Cho'Gath Ard, maybe like a Camille.
You could always go with Renekton. We know he has his Shield Breaker ability.
Very true. Renekton seems like a pretty good pick into the Tahm Kench and a solid pick in general. I think we've also seen Vopes play that Renekton already, and then I think he got dove on and got a kill there, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, Yui really respecting the support from Insomnia this game. 3 support-focused bans.
And then an instant Tahm Kench to be paired with that Aphelios. We loved Tahm Kench Aphelios pairing here. I think it's really good. I think you think it's really good, and that will mean that the Tahm Kench is going up towards the top side.
I find it interesting that despite banning out supports, Yui failed to find the Thresh ban, because that is your standard Aphelios support, right? That is the dream combo that you want to be getting your hands on.
And they do get that dream combination. However, we did mention that Renekton, and we did predict it correctly. So that makes me as a caster very happy that our brains are in the right places here. And Vopes will be taking that up into the Tahm Kench. What remains to be seen is whether this last pick will be a support pick or a mid lane pick to see where the Galio is going. We said we like the Galio support. We also said that we saw a lot of it in mid lane already. So the Volibear is now indicating to me that this will in fact be a Diana. Okay, well this is getting all wet and wily over here. This could be a Renekton mid lane as well. So there's a lot of flexibility from the side of UE coming out right now. We're expecting the Kai'Sa Galio to go together down towards the bot side, but the top 3, who knows?
I mean, I think here I would expect to see maybe the Volibear in the jungle, but I'm not sure. And the Corgi answer from Team Insomnia, we know he's played it before, and you know, I'd love to see him play it again because he looked really strong on it.
I think that was Wengu that played it the first time
Was it
around.
Wengu?
I think that Frey received a ban on the Corki last time around they played against...
Well, my mistake. And well, then based on what I've looked at from his solo queue, I don't know if solo queue is the greatest judge, but he still seems very competent on the champion, and I'd like to see what he can do here today.
Yesterday against RT1, I believe that he did pull the Corki ban against himself. So,
This self-Corgi ban, that's a sad one.
Let's talk a little bit more about the comms in general. Let's sort of contrast what we have in the bot lane first, because that is the one that we can definitely say is going... Go on.
Kai'Sa Galio, they got real good engaged, but I mean, Thresh, especially with his Flay, I think can really make it difficult for the Galio to get in and to do what he wants to do. And I think, I mean, again, I've said it before, the Thresh Aphelios combo, it can 2v2, it can team fight, it can sit back and scale. It's kind of...
It even has pick potential.
It's the gold standard of bot lanes, I feel like, in the current meta. But, you know, I definitely think if the Galio does manage to get his Justice Punch to go through and follow it up with a Root, there's a lot of one-shot potential from the bot lane of UE.
Well, the one-shot potential is, of course, always present in that Galio-Kai'Sa combination because of the strong burst availability of the Kai'Sa in any given situation. What we have not mentioned so far is the dive potential that comes out from UE's composition as a whole. Once someone gets in there, and maybe the Galio and the Diana and the Volibear all dive into it, it gets very crazy and very chaotic. And some of these teams that we have seen so far really thrive in that chaos of the team fight. And we will have to see whether UE can utilize that and whether Team Insomnia can sort of stave that off with the safety that Thresh provides. And we have to mention in the later stages of the game also the safety that the Tahm Kench provides. Another layer of safety for the Aphelios here.
I mean, I think, yeah, I was going to bring it up myself, that the Tahm Kench ulti, I mean, especially considering UE's dive, it's a lot of upfront burst, front-loaded damage. If Tahm Kench just gets a good timing on ulti onto the Corgi or the Aphelios, I can't see them re-coordinating a second dive attempt straight afterwards, and I think he's just free hit the team fight after that.
There were scenarios that we saw yesterday in the... Was it yesterday? No, it was the day before, where we saw Red Team play against Unknown Enemy, where they put Rickard into an uncomfortable position where Rickard had to utilize his summoners in order to try to escape a Nocturne dive, Nocturne Leona dive, and then they just waited 60 seconds and tried it again because they had their cooldowns back and ready available, but Rickard did not. And so whether that is something that this time around Unknown Enemy can actually utilize for themselves, we will have to wait and see, as they are going to be playing into that Aphelios here.
I mean, yeah, but I think what they didn't have last time on the side of the Aphelios was the Thresh. I think no summoners, Aphelios, yes, he's a bit of a sitting duck, but the cover the team provides him this time, whereas the Aphelios in the other game didn't really quite get so much. I think he had a Lulu, which is fine, but I think the Thresh Tahm Kench peel potential is so much greater.
The peel potential, and then they have the Corki package, and Corki package is probably one of the hardest winning teamfight tools in the entire game. I can't think of many that win teamfights harder just by one single ability than the Corki package, and that is where there's quite a hefty cooldown on it, of course. But if you find those packages around objectives and find them consistently, that is an absolute menace to deal with. And Wengu is no stranger to that, as he did whip out the Corki himself and had some absolutely outstanding packages. But yet again, both teams have not found their first win yet, and we will have to see which one comes actually out on top and what the story of the game tells us in general, because there is a much grander tale with these two teams, because both of them looked pretty good. They just faltered at some of the hurdles, sometimes earlier and sometimes later into the game.
Well, speaking about your early games and your late games, just looking at the champions of both teams, how do you think they both fare in the early, the mid, and the later stages of this game?
I think that the early game is certainly in favor of an Unknown Enemy here in basically all of the lanes, so I think that there will be a lot of priority available for the Volibear, and Volibear is also a champion that can utilize it pretty well. Xin Zhao can sort of act as a negator to that, because he does have a pretty decent matchup into the Volibear in a lot of cases, because he does tend to outbrawl him. But the general skirmishing between the 2v2s that can be found in the top side is just not as potent for the side of TI. Now the Tahm Kench might change that landscape entirely, as we've not seen a lot of Tahm Kench in competitive play yet, and that could sort of redirect our attention to new things that we haven't quite thought about yet. So we will have to wait and see to also realize whether the priority that the Renekton can get over the Tahm Kench, which will certainly be the case in a vacuum chamber matchup, not factoring in player skill, but we can never do that before the game anyway. Whether the priority will be enough to secure the Volibear to Scuttle Crabs potentially.
Well, I mean, I think that's important that UE really, they need to get a snowball going, because I can't help but feel that if Team Insomnia can just, farm it up, get their items, once you get the Corgi, 2-3 items, Aphelios, 2-3 items, like, yes, you always have the one-shot potential there, but I feel like the favor has to turn over then to Team Insomnia into the later stages of this game.
It certainly does. It certainly does. They do have a lot of scaling advantages pretty much across the board. And so the early game is going to be very instrumental to the side of Unknown Enemy, where they have looked shaky in times, but also looked good at other times. So what they can leverage here is really down to their priority that I briefly talked about earlier before. Then let's talk a little bit more about the jungle 2v2. I mentioned a little bit how I feel about the matchup in a vacuum, in a 1v1. I think that the Xin Zhao can outbrawl the Volibear. Where do you expect the advantages to go, and which sort of categories?
Well, I mean, I think a Thresh lane is extremely gankable. I think a Tahm Kench lane is very gankable. There's a lot of setup there. So perhaps if the side of Team Insomnia can maybe bait a play in from the Galio or the Kai'Sa and get them to overcommit, I think it becomes really easy then for Xin to come in and clean up. But on the top side of the map, for me, Tahm Kench, he's a bit of a question mark pick for me. I'm not like, I know he's a great like skirmisher again, and I wonder in a 2v2 situation, surely you've got to hand it to Renekton, but I feel like the Xin Zhao Tahm Kench 2v2 should not be underestimated, and I feel like that might be the undoing of the other team here today.
That might just be it. You're definitely correct about that. And as we're loading into the game proper, we can sort of start to talk about who you favor in the different level 1s.
Ooh, the level 1s. I mean, I wouldn't like to see a level 1 invade from the side of Team Insomnia, correct? They are the Thresh Aphelios team. I don't really think either side has the level 1 all-in engage threat, one-shot potential, or long-form teamfight potential. So unless Galio gets a huge flash taunt play, I can't really see a massive level 1 fight from either team.
Well, we will have to see, as we see that the Corki has already picked up the coal for himself, whereas on the other side we see the Diana starting out with a Doran's Ring. Diana being more of a jungler in the current meta, but some of the mid laners that we do have here in the tournament do like it as a mid lane pick, and Wengu obviously being one of those, now facing one of his most favorite champions in the Corki. Frey also really liking it, and we have the first pause of the game. I mean, quick DC here.
Unknown Enemy kind of maybe taking a leaf or a page out of the book of Team Uwu with this 5-man stack, perhaps expecting an invade. I don't entirely know why they might do that, because Aphelios, Corgi are notoriously weak level 1 champions, but they don't appear to lose anything for this, and so it works.
We shall henceforth refer to this brush as the Uwu brush.
The Uwu brush? Yeah, okay, I like that.
Okay, well, I do have to fix the time because Spectator is a greatly optimized client from Riot Games, and it just doesn't want to work. Well, I believe that now we are good to go, that there will be no... Oh! This is just... unfortunate.
There's always some bug or something broken, right? Spaghetti code, you know how it is.
This does look to work now. Let's hope. Okay.
Yeah, it looks to be quite a tame start. Everyone minding their own business. 5-point start here from red side, so, you know, nothing too interesting gonna happen.
Well, the Xin Zhao did place the ward over here in that pixel bush. And now everyone will start to walk towards their own lanes, and the Volibear looks to start topside.
Volibear looking to potentially maybe get a level 3 gank off in the bot lane. They definitely have a very strong level 2, level 3 with the Kai'Sa Galio. But what do you think of the Xin's pathing deciding to start bot side? Do you agree with that, or do you perhaps think
the only lane that he might have some sort of kill pressure in is with the Tahm Kench. So An overextended Renekton is certainly easy prey for a Tahm Kench W, and then the follow-up of Xin Zhao.
Sure. Okay. But yeah, getting straight into this game.
And then on the other hand, they don't know that the Volibear is starting topside, so that will mean that both of the junglers will come out on opposite sides of the rift when it comes to their first Scuttle Crab. We talked about a potential double Scuttle from the side of Volibear, but that does look less likely now that they're starting on the opposite sides of the rift.
Yeah, I think we can expect to see a fairly quiet. Okay, as I say that, never mind. Some heavy trading going from mid ad top. So yeah, I'm just gonna stop what I was about to say there.
I think you may just be able to continue this anyways.
I was gonna say it was reasonably quiet, but you know, definitely blue side here, trying to force the issue just a little bit, which
And
is what they
even
should
bot
be doing.
lane shoving in. So yeah, at the moment, 3 lanes with priority.
I mean, they don't know that Volibear started topside here, so... Or, I don't know how comfortable the Xin Zhao is going to be going for this top Scuttle Crab. He might just choose to give it entirely.
Well, they have not spotted anything out about each other yet, so there is complete blindness from both junglers. Of course, the Xin Zhao did receive the leash from bot lane, so that should be information available to the side of the Volibear. But yeah, the Xin Zhao, I guess he did know that topside leashed. I believe the Renekton did actually leash, as we do now see that the Volibear, no, the Xin Zhao is looking for that top lane gank, doesn't find the Wind Becomes Lightning onto Vopes here, and Lapis will just return. Now they spot it out. Volibear is not even on his Scuttle Crab yet, and Lapis is now looking for his first Scuttle. Smites it early on to dissipate the shield, and will find that Scuttle Crab. Volibear, on the other hand, is looking for the gank in bot lane first. Romanixio caught out here and dead to the slaughter. Yeah, first blood coming in here for the Volibear.
Yeah, just the flash taunt. This is exactly what we're talking about. If Thresh can't get this Galio off of his Aphelios, I mean, in this case, the Aphelios lives, but Thresh has to give up his life for that one. And yeah, a great all-in, a great flash, and a great taunt.
Well, the Volibear is not quite done here yet, and Aphelios does not have flash available, so they will just find the second kill here in that bot lane. Beautiful little regang, even though the Volibear was standing directly on top of a ward. That disrespect coming out from the side of Mordred, punishing him here a lot.
Well, I mean, the Volibear doing what he needs to do to get his team ahead. Like, he knows they don't necessarily have the greatest scaling advantage in this game, but I mean, he's 2 kills now. The bot lane have both died. Aphelios is also no flash, which is super important. Let's see if he can perhaps capitalize a bit. Maybe, you know, set up a little tent and, you know, really force him out of this game.
Maybe he is able to do that, as I have to briefly correct the overlay here. Thank you, chat, for reminding me. I apologize. That has been an oversight by me. But now the Volibear is still down here, and the Aphelios will interrupt the recall, and the Xin Zhao is here. Lapis, not trying to maybe punish the Volibear, but who is punished? Thresh Lantern being utilized very well here. And now the hook from Romanixio also lands, and they do just find the first kill on Chunky One. Webby tries to trade, and Rickard flashes forward to secure the 1-for-1 trade down here in the bot lane. Both junglers paying some attention, and in the end, that seems like a bit of a win here. As I say that, a solo kill for Wengu onto Frey. My goodness, he hits the level 6 first and finds the easy kill.
This game is kind of starting to explode out of nowhere. Solo in the mid lane, bot lane. I mean, I think both junglers are aware that this is kind of the lane that maybe needs the most attention, because if you can get either of these bot lanes rolling, I think it becomes very easy for them to take over the game.
Yeah, now Frey is back in the mid lane here, and Wengu is still feeling the trades.
He's not giving up
pretty
early
rough.
pressure.
We've not seen a lot of scaling comms work out that well for the teams that have drafted them so far, and oftentimes the teams with the early advantages do also end up winning the game.
Now, I know it's only 6 minutes, but it's a a fairly healthy lead. It's 2k gold.
Ooh, Chunky One
as I
has
say
roamed up here into the river around the Herald even before it has spawned. And now they're trying to look for the kill onto Lapis, who does not have the flash available anymore. So with the flash from Vopez, they do find that kill. Rickard finding himself alone in that bot lane as Roman Neox misses that hook. And so nothing will happen of it quite yet. Rickard just trying to pick up the wave and deal some damage back to the side of the support of Team Insomnia.
A great roam from Chunky One. I mean, they know Zin is no flash from the last fight they had down bot, and you know, Renekton, as expected, probably is always going to have wave prior when he needs it. So
Well,
yeah, they
he
just
is
roam
now
down.
looking for even more trading on towards Chippy here, who doesn't even use the gray health, the thick skin, I believe. So
But
we'll
yeah,
be able to walk it out and still keeps the flash as well.
That was brave. Didn't use flash. Didn't use thick skin. He knew. You know, he knows. He's a calculated play. Calculated play.
Ringo is really starting to take over this mid lane though, and soon enough we will most likely see some sort of roaming coming out from this mid lane. The only mid laner we've really seen pop off or like have a big impact inside the game were, first of all, the mid laner for NSG Forsaken, and then the mid laner for Red Team 1, which both, funnily enough, all 4 teams, including these 2, are in the same group here. So this is really the group of mid lane battles.
I mean, speaking of mid lane battles, I think at the moment Diana Wengu coming, you know, a little bit out ahead, but at the same time it is to be expected. You know, you are running Corgi, you do
But
have
there
the
might
cult.
be a dive here as there's 4 people down towards the bot. The turret is already turned off and the Aphelios will fall first. Wengu now just looking at the Thresh, and there will be 2 kills for the side of Unknown Enemy, who look to find themselves in a pretty comfortable position of 4,000 gold ahead at just about 9 minutes.
Unknown Enemy really doing what, you know, they need to get done in this early game to make sure that they can snowball this one. I mean, Volibear, no waiting around, no messing. We're going in now. Turns off the tower, and I mean, it's the level 5 Aphelios, the level 5 Thresh.
Tomkins utilizing the Devour here up towards the top side to buy time for Lapis to come in, and Frey secures the kill, and finally a second answer comes out from the side of Team Insomnia, this time around onto the top side. A little bit of aggression shown from the support of TI as Wengu finds Frey here that tries to rotate to the Rift Herald. Wengu flashes over, but there's a Xin Zhao there ready and waiting for him. Still gets the solo kill. Now Chippy comes down and rotates. He will land the knockup onto Wengu, and that will be a 1-for-1, but one that the side of Team Insomnia will definitely take. Volibear sees the cross map, however, and sees how far overextended this bot lane from the side of Team Insomnia is. As the Killer Instinct already comes through, the taunt also landing onto the Aphelios once again, and they're looking for yet another dive, and they're finding 2 more kills down towards the bot side. This is getting really out of hand down here.
Webby, you're really paying attention to this bot lane. I mean, I feel so bad to play Aphelios Thresh into this. I mean, you can let the wave shove into you, but they're just gonna dive you on the tower, and they've shown that already. And you push out, maybe you look for a pick. He's there again, and 2 more easy kills. Although that being said, the kill given over to the Corgi, I think, was really important in the top side of the map onto the Renekton kill, because the faster they get their Corgi in there, their Aphelios, the gold and the items they need, the faster they can start to come back into this game.
Okay, let's look down towards the inventories. I have 2 things that immediately stand out to me. Number 1, the Hex Drinker from the side of Frey, who's clearly afraid. But even more so, look at Lapis's inventory. What is going on here?
I mean, I think I've seen crit Xin Zhao before, but definitely a more carry orientated. He's got 2 kills. Maybe he expects his bot lane to, you know, maybe need to take a little bit longer to get into the game, and so he's put the damage on his own shoulders. He's the one going to be dishing it out now, I guess, and he's going to continue to play for himself. And who knows? Maybe he goes in and blows off the enemy Kaiser. We'll have to wait and see.
I can confidently say that it has been a couple of seasons since I have seen crit Xin Zhao.
Mm.
But I can also confidently say that I have not seen a single Essence Reaver on a Xin Zhao, as he will be aggressed on by Chunky One here, and with the support of Webby and Wengu, he will just go down. The squishy Xin Zhao is no match for the 3-man push here coming out from the side of Unknown Enemy.
This Galio is really making it happen for his team. He's been topside, he's invading jungle. I mean, and it shows in his scoreline, but I mean, you gotta help but feel that the enemy Thrasher's gotta maybe try to match these roams or really look to punish, because at the moment, this Kai'Sa has been on punish.
Maybe he should help himself first, because yet again they're being dove. The Felios dead already, and now they're looking for the second kill on Romaniox. Apologies for that little slip of the tongue, but they do both go down here, down towards the bot side.
Has Webby ulted anywhere else other than bot?
I
Just out of curiosity, I don't think he has. Oh man.
I don't think so, no. Now the Galio,
really
Chunky One, looking for even more here. This time around, he does have the backup from his AD carry and Rickard, who does flash forward and pick up the kill onto Lapis here, who's now 2 and 4 and has lost the advantage. And now we have to start and really question the item choices. It's not working now.
If you go Gore Drinker there, I feel like you're a lot tankier. I don't know if you necessarily survive there, but you definitely have a better chance at it. But yeah, I mean, that's a 505 Kai'Sa. Almost, how many K gold? Almost 3K gold ahead of this Aphelios. My god. And 2 levels. Like, what does Aphelios need to do to get himself back into this? I don't know if there's a world where he's ever even allowed to look at bot wave if he doesn't know where this enemy volley bear is, because he set up his tent. Whenever he has ultimate, you better believe he's coming in bot with it. So what do you do as red side's bot here?
Every lane other than support, every position other than support is 1,000 or more gold ahead. Now we are just 14 minutes into the game, but 7k or 6.5 is a significant lead. Chunky One trying to counter the pressure that comes out from the Rift Herald that the side of Team Insomnia did secure themselves earlier, and the first package of the game will be observed here, as it's a defensive one to get away from Webby, and that just feels terrible.
Did they get tower plates for that Rift Herald?
They did.
I wonder if it was slightly, just a few seconds late. That is also extremely unlucky.
Too late.
But yeah, that's just been the name of this game, huh? Unlucky, just a little bit too late. Even with the defensive Corgi ults, you hate to see it, right?
Well, Wengu is a little bit caught out here, as he does just about get away from the pressure of Lapis. And Rickard is now hammering down this turret for the first turret collection of the game. Wengu, is he looking for another solo kill? No, he's not.
We've seen this before.
Doesn't just 100 to 0 them, and one of the first couple of mid laners that actually takes the ignite. And in this matchup, I can definitely understand why.
I think at the moment, the only ray of hope for Team Insomnia is this Tahm Kench. He's really holding his own, to be fair to him, in this Renekton lane, where he probably shouldn't be, but he's done well to keep his CS reasonable. Like he's within
down
touching
30 CS, and Frey is being dived here by the side of Unknown Enemy as they just find the kill. The Sky Splitter not even being necessary, and now Rickard has made his way up towards the top side to open up another canyon. Uses the killer instinct aggressively forward here, but has met Lapis as no thick skin used here from Chippy, not pressing the button in time, and thus actually falling to the Kai'Sa.
Yeah, I mean, Chippy, he really doesn't like pressing
More
his thick
dives
skin.
on the menu, and this time around, Lapis is the main course of this feast.
I mean, Unknown Enemy, they press go. There's 4 of them top. They 4-man dove bot. They 3-man dove mid. I mean, you are not safe under your towers anymore if you're Team Insomnia. I don't know where you can go on your map other than your own fountain where you're not scared of a dive threat at this stage in the game.
Oh, That is until the Volibear runs in there with a million HP and just trumps you down. And then the burst damage availability that also comes out from this aggressive comp, from this dive comp from the side of Unknown Enemy. A nice draft here coming out from both teams, and so far, the early game advantage is really being gained from Unknown Enemy.
True. I mean, win lane, win game mentality, right? We've really been seeing that a lot. The more scaling oriented team comps haven't been doing quite so well. But yeah, I definitely think the early game team comps have really done what they've needed to do to pressure and force their own leads, especially here in this game where we actually see an 11k gold lead in 17 minutes.
What does this make you feel about Division 2 and the amount of momentum that Unknown Enemy does come into Division 2 with?
True, Unknown Enemy do find themselves in Division 2, and that is extremely unfortunate for them, because I feel like this is a team that is also very capable of being competitive in Division 1, and I do expect to see them potentially making playoffs and, you know, not and really like competing. Actually, like normally you'd expect maybe a Division 2 team to not really be able to compete so much with the Division 1 teams. That's why the division system exists. But I think this Unknown Enemy roster really bridges that gap.
Well, and that is why we have thought about the division system in the way that we did, where you don't just end up playing in Division 2, but the best teams of Division 2 actually qualify themselves for the grand playoffs, where, first of all, you can win money from winning Division 2, which is a big thing, and I think a reason why some of the teams are really looking to hammer home that Division 2 trophy and title, but you also get a chance at the grand prize pool of that of the SLE in general. So if you do have the time to play together, to really adapt, and if the Division 1 teams see you as a worthy opponent, there will be a lot of people that will want to scrim you, as they don't have anything to hide against you in the regular season. So I think that this is really a great step for Unknown Enemy, that also have great coaching staff, as they're looking to just like run home with this game. Now on the side of TI, obviously they're going to be facing them in Division 2 as well, and we are going to be seeing that matchup at some point. But I think it's not as dire as it might look in this game and the last game. There have been some drafts that have gone into very late stages of the game, and they weren't quite able to convert on that and find the early advantages, as they're now diving below the tier 3 turrets. They're finding the kills, they're picking them up, all the ultimates just being thrown at them, and the Herald being popped down here will mean that that inhibitor is cracked as well. He does also get to throw his body at this Nexus turret, and it instantly goes down. Lapis just about surviving, and the Quirky package might be able to do something in defense here, as the Devour is utilized onto Rickard, but he does just about get away. Frey, once again, the hero of the base, trying to defend as best as he can. Vopes coming in with a TP, and yeah, they're trying to get the second Nexus turret, as Frey is trying to bombard them from behind. Now there's 4 people alive for the side of TI, as this 4-man squad of Unknown Enemy is finally trying to run away. Once again, TI holding at their base gates, at their Nexus turrets, just about surviving, and yeah.
I think Unknown Enemy, they were looking to end that, I think, and you know, I think it 20 minutes in, if you're trying to look for an end, I mean, that's definitely, you know how to push your
yeah, I knew that Rickard was going for that. That one. Now at 10-0, I think he was a little bit mad that they stole his Aphelios, even though he hasn't been looking great. But now he will have a W in the 80 carry column on that Kai'Sa.
I mean, it's also important to know that this guy plays Aphelios and he knows Aphelios, so you know a champion, you know how to beat a champion. So having that matchup knowledge, I think, has really...
Supporto combat? Supporto combat.
Chunky one, you know. Leaving a bit of BM on the table there.
Yeah, so I think as a grand conclusion, we could say that the resilience once again plays a big factor here for Team Insomnia. They are proving that at some points they do eventually get the items and they are able to at least defend at their base gates. Um, so I think with different draft priorities, there may be a very good team in Division 2 as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them play it out more. And yeah, just looking to
Is
see what
there?
happens. Galio secures the Baron, by the way. That was a bit of a monka.
Mhm. I was
Because
about to say, is there a world where Zin steals this? But hey, Galio doing what he does best. I don't know. I mean,
is that what he
supporting his team,
does best? True.
supporting his team, supporting his yeah, of
Oh,
course, getting the objectives where he knows his team can't. In that situation.
Well, they are
Yeah.
now looking to push down that mid lane with the Baron buff. Red Team 1 found themselves in a very similar situation yesterday against Team Insomnia, and they were able to hold that game for quite some time, as their ability to stall and turtle a game has been very fantastic. And it has to be mentioned, their comp, if it does stall for long enough, it looks great. It looks like a really, really good late game composition. But getting to that stage of the game can be very difficult, especially if the Volibear turns off all the turrets. I don't know if this is an intended pick, if this is what the grand conclusion was of that Rust Team 1 showing yesterday, but here is a 3-man Moonfall from the Diana to just seal the game. Frey once again finding a kill in the base and is still alive as the last member trying to defend the base, but to no avail. A 23-minute game coming out here from the side of Unknown Enemy against Team Insomnia.
I mean, I feel like, especially right there at the end, like, as soon as Unknown Enemy have their ultis and they say, hey, we're going here, Insomnia is just forced to walk away. Like, I don't think they can contest even if they want to, and, well, we've just seen what happens right there.
That we did. So talk to me about some of the conclusions that you. I talked a little bit about how I feel about what this means for the general state of the league. How I feel the division systems will end up affecting this. Talk to me a little bit about what you expect to see coming up in the future.
In the future, I mean, both these teams clearly, like, there are, even in a game where perhaps as it went on, didn't really get any better for Team Insomnia, I still think there was a lot to be said about even their draft. I think there's a good, clear idea on what they want to do. Perhaps they can look into a little bit of the early execution, but I think this is a team comp that can definitely work for them, and moving forward, definitely could. However, I also believe that how, like, every team that has put an emphasis on scaling so far has been so severely punished. And it depends on what you want to do as a team, but I feel like at the moment, the teams being favored are the teams that are looking to force leads through aggressive picks and really making things happening for them in the early game.
Then, but we do see that ability to stall out games. How do you think that Team Insomnia can combine those two aspects? Because they do have that strong turtle momentum.
I agree, and I think that they do know how to scale and they do know how to play safe, but I think a lot of that comes down to perhaps respecting the engages and respecting the volley bear and perhaps looking for more vision. But also, we find that Team Insomnia are great at turtling from their base, right? However, how much gold and how much map pressure are you giving up before you get to that stage? And perhaps, not giving away so much in the early game can really set them up for a stronger mid to late game scaling because they're not going to fall quite so far behind.
Well, let's hear from a man that has realized that for himself and has gone on to play the Kaiser today. Welcome to the casting room, Rickard. You had a beautiful game here today as your third game of the group stage. You're going into Division 2 looking like one of the strongest teams. How was the game for you today?
Yeah, well, it felt really nice. It all started with the draft. After what happened to us on Friday this week, we realized that teams that just have a go button and just go in and don't give the enemy room to work with are really strong right now. So we picked a comp that works like the enemies comp from Friday. Basically, the moment Galio and Volibear had ultimates, they came bot or wherever, and we just dove the enemy, and without little to no counterplay. Yeah,
I think
it went really well.
what we mentioned very little on the broadcast, but what retrospectively has been very impressive to see is not only how you guys come together, but also your personal lane management of that bot lane. Because whenever the Volibear wanted to be down in the bot side, you had managed your wave in such a way where there was no way that the Aphelios Thresh could even get away from the minion wave, or they would lose way too much. What do you do to improve your wave management?
I mean, it all starts before the game, right? You know what your jungler wants to do, and we know that he wants to start ganking bot lane. So he starts blue, and the moment we know we don't have the leash, we start to shove in the wave for the first two waves, and we know that it will crash by the in front of our turret by the time he arrives bot lane. And at that moment, we can freeze the wave in front of our turret, which makes the Vilios Thresh really vulnerable for ganks.
And you
Did you?
exploited that massively. What do you want to ask, Brady?
I was gonna say, is this how you expected it to go? Did you expect them to pick an Aphelios Thresh type matchup? Because you guys did put a lot of emphasis on panning out Enchanter support. So is this the kind of matchup in lane that you were expecting and were planned for?
Vilios, of course, is AD carry, can be paired up with basically every support. And we weren't necessarily prepared for Vilios Thresh or like Vilios in general. But with the bot lane, we have a really good dive comp, and maybe if they had some more peel for the Vilios, a little bit more disengage, uh, they could have protected themselves better against the dives we threw upon them.
Sure, okay. And okay, having seen, actually, you know what? I want to move away, maybe perhaps from the bot lane. What did your team do in maybe perhaps the mid and the top side map? Because we saw the solo kid kill on mid. We saw top side with a load of pressure. We saw the Galio actually roaming up to the top side to get a kill onto the Xin early game. Like the confidence from your team has that been there coming into this game? What about on Friday? What's the morale like in the team at the moment?
I mean, I think the morale on the team is really good right now. We just had to find our playstyle, and we have seen that top lane is a lane right now where you just need to be safe and be self-sufficient. And with the Renekton pick, of course, that gives you a lot of pressure early game, and it still needs to do what you need from the top lane in the late game. And in the mid lane, of course, you don't expect to get solo kills there. It's always nice when you get it. The whole thing was with the Volibear, we can shove out Diana in the mid lane and then roam together with Volibear to set up dives on either top or mid or bot lane, of course.
Cool. And I think my final question for you is going to be moving into the season, what are your team's goals and where do you expect to be come playoffs and stuff like that?
I mean, of course, we're going in the season to win it. Of course, we don't want to be second place. If it's the most realistic thing, I'm not certain yet, but we try to play better and better. And I don't know. I think every one of us is really wants to win at the end of the season. So that's our goal.
Well, thank you so much, Rickard. It has been a pleasure talking to you. And yes, I think we're going to be transitioning on into our next game. So thank you so much for that. So, FMA,
Yes.
who do we have next?
Well, initially I was thinking that we were going to be recasting the game from yesterday of TLC versus NRN, but there is no VOD available. So I'm trying to figure out if I can manage to find that VOD at the moment.
Of course, no problem. Now, generally speaking, we've had 2 full days and we've started the third day of our tournament. Now, I think we've got to see, a fair amount of teams play. Are there any teams that you're starting to feel like, yes, I can see them winning this, or yes, this team is going to be competitive? What are your thoughts there?
So I think we saw an absolutely outstanding performance coming out just now from the side of Unknown Enemy that have been very hungry to find their wins. And I think with their new draft priorities, they sort of have a lot more of their ducks in a row in order to try to convert into wins. So they are looking to really find their footing. And I think with the game today and with what Rickard has just told us now, there is they've really done that well. So that, however, also means that we see an even stronger team coming in before them, which are, of course, NSG Forsaken and
Mm-hmm.
Red Team 1, which look like two extremely strong teams. We won't be having the TLC game right now, as they apparently did not play yesterday. So we will be going into another break momentarily. But I think TLC themselves also look like a very strong team. And if we take a look at the schedule, it does not get any more boring today. I think we've already had some absolutely outstanding games today, but it will just get better from here on out. We will first have Red Team 1 versus NSG Forsaken, two of the teams I've just been hyping up. And at the same time, SG Momentum, who come in as one of the tournament favorites, against TLC, who I also just hyped up. So these are two teams, or these are two matches that look absolutely exciting. And then after that, we will be having Flash Forces versus Runtime, who are also both yet to be taken down. Actually, I think Flash Forces did get taken down by Curtain Call Gaming, but still, they looked very good in that game as well. It was a very competitive game and a game where we learned a lot. So whether Flash Forces can bounce back and maybe their top laner can buy some items, that is what we're going to be seeing in that matchup. And afterwards, we will be having the rebroadcast of SG Momentum versus The Last Choice, which I'm also really looking forward to.
I mean, buying items is a very it's pretty OP in my opinion. I think starting items are really strong in this game, and I really think you should buy them.
Do you think
But,
starting items are really strong? Well, I think Dr. Barrow does agree with you, as he did buy two after he finally noticed his mistake, instead of just going for the straight Bramble Vest. Have you ever seen a Scion do this weird start where they like go into the base and then they they take a minion wave before, like as it spawns, they die to the turret, take a second minion wave, are then in base and have enough gold for a full Bramble Vest? Have you ever seen that?
I mean, I've seen a lot of Scion cheese. That one is one of the more surprising ones. But honestly, the amount of things I've seen Scions do level 1, like
Yeah,
going in and invading buffs, it's crazy, that champion.
When he did that, I wasn't even sure if this was another Scion cheese. I was like, okay, what is he gonna buy? Is there like some 800 gold item that I'm forgetting? Nope.
I'm sure he
Nope.
he made a mental note. I'm sure he'll come back stronger. I'm sure he'll come back with starting items from 0-0 of his next game, and I'm excited to see what he can do with good items. So,
Well, that
yeah.
we will be seeing at 9 p.m. Central European time. The next game we will be having, which is at 8 p.m. Central European Standard Time, Central European Summer Time, actually, will be Red Team 1 versus NSG Forsaken, and that will decide who goes out first of that group. Both of those teams are already being locked for Division 1. What do you want to see from that matchup?
What do I want to see? My goodness. Like, we've seen both of these teams play before. I mean, honestly, I think they're both going to want to get the front foot as fast as possible. So I think we're going to see a lot of early skirmishing and honestly quite a snowbally game. I think whoever manages to find themselves with an early lead, both teams are good enough that they really know how to take a 1-2k gold lead or one good team fight and really balloon it up into something that really becomes difficult to deal with for the other team.
I think on day 2, we really saw their mid laner Parker stand out as a player. And on day 1, I think we really saw Luchesco stand out as a player. And from what I've been hearing, Luchesco is not going to play today. Do you think that will make a big difference?
Well, I mean, I think he's a player that can really be the star of that team. But again, you said it before, their mid laner can do it. I'm sure throughout this tournament and the following season, we're gonna get situations where each one has the opportunity to carry, and I think they all have the skill and the ability to do so.
Well, that we will see later on today and in about an hour worth of time. So thank you guys for tuning in to right now. We will be seeing you guys in an hour. And until then, stay calm.